Hello and welcome. I'm Tracy Z.
And I'm Fred Rui.
And we're excited to have you here. In this mini video series, we're going to talk about how to create a thriving note business in 90 days.
Yeah, over the next couple videos, we're going to show you very specifically how to build that business. Matter of fact, we want to make sure we don't leave anybody behind. So whether you have never done a deal and know nothing about the industry, or you've already been in the industry for a little while and you're looking to get your business to the next level, we have you covered.
And speaking of having you covered, if you stick around to the end of this video, we're going to provide you a free report on our 5 ways to cash in on real estate notes.
Yeah, so let's start at the beginning. Who's the industry for? Who should you be even looking at this video and the next videos that are going to come out? And I think at the very basic level, it should be anyone looking for full and part-time income.
Absolutely. And also anyone who is interested in real estate without renters. So we have a lot of people that come to us and say, I'm buying and selling real estate. I have tenants. Tell me about the note business. How can I get involved? And so the beauty of the note business is you get the benefit of owning real estate without the 3 T's. So we all know the hassles and headaches of tenants, toilets, and trash. But when you're the bank and you're receiving payments that are backed by real estate, nobody calls the bank at 2 a.m. because there was a lockout or a stopped up toilet. So we see a lot of real estate investors getting involved in real estate notes, either migrating their portfolio to that or just adding that to a balanced portfolio.
Yeah, or people that want to get in on real estate but don't have the money to buy real estate.
They can use seller financing.
Yeah, and I think lastly, the group would be necessarily people that are just looking for another form of investment where they can get a good return, or they're trying to build a portfolio and get passive income.
So why us? Well, Fred and I have been in the note business over a combined 50 years. I personally got started back in 1988, so over 30 years ago. And the person I learned from, they'd already been in the business for 30 years. So over the years, Fred and I have become a trusted resource to thousands of people.
Yeah, I started in a 500 square foot apartment, and since then we've built everything. We've helped thousands of people. We've launched things like noteinvestor.com, which has hundreds of articles on it, all free to help people. We have a private membership where we help people one-on-one coaching. We've contributed, countless speeches at industry events and webinars and articles and things like that.
I wrote the Bible on the note industry, the 475-page manual.
That's true. That's true. You did. And I think that, for us now, it's about giving back. And the one thing you'll find is that and everybody will comment, and don't take our word for it, but basically we are always giving of information, and we always over-deliver, as you'll see in these videos coming forward.
So let's talk about the market and the opportunity. So if you're saying, real estate notes, they've been around all this time, how come I don't see more of them or hear more about it? So we like to say, pick up a local paper or go to any of the online listing sites that show real estate for sale and search for seller financing or owner financing. So it might say something like low down payment, easy monthly payments. Those types of things are involving some form of the installment sale, or where the seller is allowing the buyer to make payments to them instead of a bank.
Yeah, actually, believe it or not, 6% of all real estate transactions are owner carryback financing. Now, 6% may not sound like a big number until we put a dollar amount on it. We'll tell them how much money that really is.
So we track these statistics each year, and in 2018, last year, there was over $25 billion in seller carryback notes created across the United States. It's a big number.
It's a very big number.
See, we all just need a little piece of that pie.
So the next thing we want to do is kind of make sure we're all on the same page. So what do you always call it? Like Notes 101?
Yeah,
or
Seller Financing 101.
Seller Financing 101. And if you're already in the industry, or you've read a bunch of articles, or seen us in videos, you probably already know this part. If you know nothing about the industry, or you're just wanting a quick refresher, hang in there, because this is exactly what we're going to do. Matter of fact, we actually have props. we have little people. So This is not to scale, by the way. This is not a tiny house and a giant man. Tracy likes tiny houses. I'm not a big fan of tiny houses unless I can have a 5,000 square foot garage. That's our negotiation process right now.
Which defeats the purpose.
On getting on a tiny house. Anyway, I digress. So typically, and we see this all the time, is that this is just someone that wants to sell their house. We're going to call him Sam the seller. And Sam puts his house up for sale and has a sign out there, and eventually a buyer comes along, and we're going to call her
Barb the buyer.
Barb the buyer. Of course we are. That makes perfect sense. So Barb the buyer comes here. She wants to buy the house. She turns to the bank, as most people do, and she borrows money from a bank.
Yep. And so she will make her payment every month to the bank for 30 years typically, right?
And so the bank will, once the deal closes, the bank takes the money, gives Sam the seller his money, he goes away, and that's the scenario.
Yep. So
Every month she mails her money to the bank.
So that's traditional bank financing. But with seller financing, Sam stays in the picture. And maybe the property or the buyer doesn't qualify for traditional bank financing. Or maybe Sam, the seller, wants to maximize the selling price of the house and earn some interest income as well. So in that situation, Sam, the seller, agrees to accept payments from Barb, the buyer. The bank is no longer there. So every month, Barb makes her payments to Sam, the seller. And the seller has all the same rights as the bank. Basically, they're the bank. They have stepped into the role of the bank. They have the same rights as the bank. So if the buyer doesn't make payments, they can foreclose and take the property back. And if Barb, the buyer, keeps making her payments, then Sam, the seller, gets to earn that interest income. Generally, depending on the interest rate, 2 to 3 times the amount of that was borrowed. So that's the interest income. But things change in people's lives.
Yeah, this is where we come in. If Sam could have got all of his money up front, he would have taken the money up front. But for whatever reason, whether it was her not qualifying with the bank, property being different, all the reasons Tracy just said, they created a note. It may have sounded like a good idea at the time. He's getting monthly payments. He's certainly getting a good return on his money better than he would at a bank. Something changes. He wants to buy a car, a house. He wants to invest in another property, college education, medical bills. He would prefer a lump sum of money. He can call up Barb and say, hey, I'd really like to have a lump sum of money. I don't want these monthly payments, but I'd rather have a lump sum of money. Most of the time, she's not going to have the money to come up with. She's not going to do it. And that's really where you come in. As a consultant, as a note flipper, as an investor, you can buy the note.
So private note investors like Fred and I, and like you can be, are actively looking for sellers who want to sell all or part of their payments for cash. So we advertise that, have you sold real estate? You're receiving monthly payments. We pay a lump sum of cash. We'll buy all or part of your payments.
Now, before you get worried, if you don't have your own cash, we have an out for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So in this situation, Sam would respond to one of our ads and he would call and say, I'm interested in selling some of my payments. Can I get a quote? And so we would obtain a quote and we come to an agreement of terms. We perform some due diligence. And then what happens is that we pay Sam for the right to step into his place. We take an assignment of that debt. And now Barb, instead of making her payments to Sam, the seller, is now making payments to us as the private note investor. Now, as Fred mentioned, maybe you don't have funds available at this point in time, or maybe your funds are tied up, but there are ways to bring in an institutional investor.
This is the really cool part about the industry, because if you don't, we talked about earlier in the video, if you don't have your own money or you want all the benefits of real estate without having to buy the property, this is also it, because what we can do is we can bring in a funder. And a funder is somebody that wants to own these notes. They want to find these deals, but they can't find them themselves. And that's where we come in. And really what we do is we refer or flip the deal to them. So we're going to close the deal using their money. We can either close the deal and sell it to them, or we can just refer or flip the deal to the funder. They do the closing, and we get whatever fee we've agreed on.
And then in that situation, then if we do that, if we flip the note, then we're out of the picture, and now Barb makes the payments to the institutional investor. So let's take a look at some numbers of a typical transaction.
Let's say that Sam sold his house for $120,000, and let's say that Barb had $20,000 to put down, which I think is a great down payment.
Yep.
That leaves a $100,000 note. They agree on the terms that Barb is going to pay 360 payments, which is 30 years, at 10% interest. That would make her payments $877.57, and that's how much she's going to mail Sam every year.
But now some time goes by, Sam decides he'd rather sell his note and get a lump sum of cash. So as an investor, we can decide to buy that note or flip it to another investor. So if we wanted to make an 11% return, we could offer $92,150 and buy that note. If we wanted to flip the note, we just need to take off the amount we want to make. So if we had a $92,150 pay price, we take off $2,000 and we can earn a $2,000 referral fee for placing that note with an institutional investor. So that's how you could keep the note for an 11% return, or you could flip it for some cash.
In this particular case, we had a $2,000 fee, but you get to determine your own fee. So maybe you want to make $3,000, maybe you want to make $1,500, whatever it is. You subtract something off what the investor or funder offered you. In our next video, we're going to be going over profiting with notes, where we're going to drill down even farther. Like I mentioned, we're going to have 4 different case studies where we show you exactly how money's being made on these deals and what the opportunity is.
But before you go, don't forget to download your bonus, the 5 ways to cash in on cash flow notes. And also, please feel free to leave comments or ask us questions here below the video. We answer them personally. So we'd like to thank you for taking a little bit of time and spending it here with us today. And we look forward to seeing you in the next video, Profiting with Notes.
See you then.